Good afternoon, consultants. You know the ritual, right? You start turning on your cameras. We have initial greetings. Yes. Junior consultants are dropping in. That's a good sign. See, we have 26 participants. We need to have near 40, right? We have 40 participants. Let's have a quick round whether team representatives, at least one, is here. Construction team, are you with us today?
Yes, we hear, sir.
Okay, all members joining?
Maybe some member may be late.
Okay. You see, if I miss like 12 people, I need to cross-check what's going on. And, you know, at some point, registration will be automatically. So try to be also warn your team members to join. Education team.
We are here, Professor.
Okay. Textile, garment.
Yes, Professor, we are here.
Cool. Tourism.
We have Professor.
Perfect. Finance.
Yes, Professor, we are all here.
Agriculture.
Yes, Professor, we are here.
Energy.
We are here, Professor.
Okay, we need some energy. You see, it's end of day for you, and so please provide some energy. Ideally, solar. Retail, finally.
Yes, Professor.
All right, it seems at least I have someone to talk about what's going on. So I have browsed your uploaded documents. One thing I noticed, many teams uploaded 2 documents. So try to make a single document for going forward. You don't have to upload it again. You know, you have a title page, a team page, and then you start with industry facts and figures and pastel. And, you know, it's a growing document. And every time you put things together, make sure you have your final edits. So it's, I'm sure along the way you will have updates. It's okay that you have changed a few things in the previous pages, but make sure these are a continuous document so that you have a final version in your hands all the time. After the little break, let's look at the time, maybe without a break. When you present your pastel analysis, I would like you to start with your team page, industry facts and figures, maybe 1 or 2 minutes that we have a visual example, and then you move to pastel, just to fresh our minds. So now you will have time to bring those pages together. So I think it's clear what I'm asking. And when we see your pages, then maybe we could have a little feedback as well, because we'll have a cross-check what the information you have used. I've seen nice information in many teams, so very well done. In the meantime, I need to ask something with Dara. Mr. Dara,
Hello, sir.
Are you with us or are you talking to someone else?
I'm with you, sir.
Okay, make sure you are with us because your gestures talking to someone is distracting our views. Thank you. Okay, while I'm introducing the next week deliverable, then you can make those continuous pages for your presentations. Once again, the industry facts and figures, etc., just a quick preview and show others what you have done. Because this is also peer-to-peer learning. You need to understand how other teams approach to that. We discussed last time, your industry and some kind of share in gross domestic product. We will also cross-check whether you cover that area. Are there any questions before we start introducing our next lecture and before you start doing your stuff? Are there any unclarities, burning issues that we need to address now? All right. I'm sure we'll have multiple question and answers. Well, the plan is still the same. Our framework. We are today starting the external environment. So we'll see how political, economic, social, technological, and more legal aspects are influencing your industries from the ESG point of view. Let's see whether your pages are reflecting that. And next week, it will be Porter's 5 forces, which I will explain. One little change, we plan to have next week a lecture day, which is 16th, but nobody told me it was a Khmer's New Year's Day, right? Is it? Is it correct that you have a free day on 16th?
Khmer New Year.
Excuse me?
Yes, you got it right. It's on 16. It's a Khmer New Year.
Okay. You see, when I introduce those dates and when I ask about are these dates okay, I wish someone could point it out. Hey, 16th of April was a national day. So we moved 1 week forward. So next week we will not have a lecture. The following 4 weeks we'll have a lecture. I thought you could have 2 weeks off and then you could start your ESG, but we move it and then you'll have like 3 weeks in a row a solid ESG analysis, which is doable because now you know the basics of how to fill these 6 boxes. It's a piece of cake to make Porter's analysis because you already know the basics. So next week we'll have a good discussion about how to approach ESG. The following 3 weeks are crucial for your final deliverables because this is the core, this is the main course of our consulting club. So I suggest you start diving into your industry and your selected companies. Because in your facts and figures, you already shown us, okay, what are the top companies in your industry, right? So you can already start finding some information about those top 10 companies in your industries. I suggest that you make a division of labor, select top 10 companies in terms of maybe coverage, maybe the market share, big companies in your industries. Per person, select 2 companies already, today after the class. Because this is what you have to do from 30th of April onwards. But if you start already assigning 2 companies for yourself, so you have a month to have, you know, go visit their websites, download their annual reports, and try to see if you know someone on LinkedIn to that company. It is very crucial. If you start doing these little jobs today, you will have very easy time next month for the when you have to bring information, find information about these companies. So I'll repeat. After today's class, look at the big companies in your industry. Select top 10 and divide it to 5 people and 2 people. So every team member will have to find information about 2 companies. Sustainability activities, their environmental, social, and governance items in their publicly available information. We'll talk about today the pastel, but let's have a little introduction to Porter's 5. I know you have been exposed to that document, so let's spend a couple of minutes per item before we dive into your pastel. Combining information, finding information is relating to ESG is a tricky one. Because today we will see you made some pastel analysis, but I suspect in your pages, there are not so many information related to ESG topics. So that would be maybe our initial feedback. So that's my anticipation. I hope you will be surprised me. Your pastel page is covering some of the elements in ESG. Similarly, your Porter's 5 analysis should also, you know, touch upon some of the items on ESG. I know it's not very clear. It is not one-on-one to connect information, but this is what consultants should do. You're not connecting A to B. You have a one site, you know, 5 items, Porter's 5, and then on ESG, there are multiple angles that you could connect that information. And that requires more than a little student work. That requires some consulting mindset, creativity, dealing with complexity, maybe some vague information. So that is the exercise you should be doing. But when we see your pastel pages and if I ask questions, maybe it will be more clear. But I will pay more attention next week when you present your Porter's 5. I'd like to see more connections to ESG. You know, how ESG can help companies, organizations in your industry to be more competitive. So that is the homework. Maybe you can take that as a note, because that will be very crucial that you connect those dots. Because at the end, if we make our ESG analysis and if we make final presentations, we would like to say sustainability is a competitive force. Because when you are strong in ESG, your competitive power will be slightly different than your industries. And next week deliverable will help you to start thinking about how that can be possible. Well, again, we have a very easy framework. 5 boxes, 1 per person maybe, and 5 bullet points. You can do it in 5 minutes. But we don't want that you bring something you have done in 5 minutes, because you have 2 weeks to think about, okay, how this industry, how companies are doing. And especially if you already divided 2 companies per person, and if you spend like half an hour her company's website and annual report, not more than half an hour. So you have to spend an hour to find information about those companies. And when you have a team discussion, let's say next week, you already have seen 10 company and how they approach in their marketing, in their sustainability reporting, how they are doing about environmental issues. Are there anything about their governance? How are their societal the impact? And connect those to these items. Like substitute products. Maybe in your industry, there is a substitute product which is more environmental friendly. You see, if you have that connection, maybe that will help to increase rivalry among competition because your competitive power will be stronger. Suppliers, we will talk. Let's say buyers. Think about, is this something that Cambodian buyers paying attention to those ESG ideas? Perhaps not now, not today, but think about the future, because we are advising companies to be more sustainably strong. We believe if they are strong in sustainability issues, if they are respectful for environment, their society around them up, and then their governance is more democratic, and those companies will be more successful. Well, this is the relationship we are looking for. Once again, I will upload this pages right after the class, so you could have a look. And those pages are coming from your strategy textbook. So you can also see the same pages in your book. So 5 areas. Well, it suggests step 1, identify different parties involved. Step 2, evaluate how strong they are. Also looking at maybe your example companies. You see, it's crucial that you have selected 2 companies per person and spend an hour on their websites next to the industry pages and talk about these items. It will be more useful. Without visiting any company website, without understanding what they are doing, it would be very difficult to bring something tangible for us for a class. Let's start in the middle. Rivalry among competing sellers, like direct competition. How they are doing within their industries. You know, how this industry is operating. You see, in telecom industry, you know that 3 companies active, and 1 is covering like 50% of the market share. In banking, we know that maybe there are 30 banks, but you know, 7, 8 of them covering 80% of the market share. The largest is Akleda, right? If I'm not wrong. So you have to look at to understand, okay, how this industry is happening. Are they really fighting for interest rates, or maybe they have similar interest rates? You know, when you make those website visits like in banks, try to understand what are their, let's say, interest rates for time deposits. For 1 year, maybe a bank gives 4% per year. Maybe the other is 3. I mean, for consumer loans, they're asking like 7% from consumers in dollars. Maybe someone is asking like 9. So have these little key indicators and discuss it within the team. You could say, hey, my banks are doing this and that, or my company is in garment is doing this and that. You could say maybe there is not a fierce competition among them because they are exporting a lot. And how could you find those information? If you dive into your industry, maybe try to find some newspaper articles. And the website that I used and I found a lot of new information is Cambodian Investment Review. That's a very nice sources of information. So try to understand, try to be in your industry, try to, I mean, you will be experts in that industry in a month or so. So you will see what companies are doing, how they're doing in competitive forces, and what is the future expectations, sustainability. So you will have a little expertise next to your studies. Competitive pressures from potential entrants. I think this is per industry is different. Maybe this is less relevant for the banking because there are not new banks every year, and if they start, they are small. But maybe this is a big issue for retail. Imagine you have a supermarket chain, another big chain is growing, so that could be a problem. But if you're in a higher primary school, a new entry is not that difficult, and its government is providing these facilities, and their businesses will not be a problem. But if you are a private business schools like Comet, imagine there's another private business school coming for business studies, then it might be a problem. And let's see how easy, how difficult is it? So think about those things like a businessman, like you own the company, if you have a little share, and think about what are the competitive forces affecting our business. Are there restrictions? You see, you can open a shop very easily in retail, but you cannot open a school that easy because there are government policies and legal restrictions. Similarly, you can't just open an insurance firm. So try to connect those industry-specific information with sustainability, whether sustainability will be a part of that equation. Substitute products. This could be interesting, especially for sustainability. Think about your industry and think about what are the substitute products that could be more sustainable. And substitute products are always a little bit tricky. In my experience, students directly think of direct substitute goods. I mean, competition like Pepsi versus Coca-Cola, Starbucks versus Costa. But in real substitution, actually, you need to replace it with something else. Like going to bowling versus playing a PlayStation. Like eating fruits rather than eating donuts. Like going to dance party rather than going to, I don't know, in outdoor activities. So think about in your industries, are there direct or indirect substitutes are emerging as a threat within the industry? And how sustainability is playing a role in that. Imagine in garment textile industry, if you start a totally sustainable product line, would that be a problem for your competitions? Because I can imagine people who are importing textile garments, even agricultural products, they would like to have a more sustainable products, because this is a growing marketing trend. And in Europe, in the United States, maybe Singapore, it's a compulsory to have sustainably verified products. So sustainable alternatives are either direct or an indirect substitution, could make a big difference in competitive power within those industries. I don't know, we can still talk about per industry. For in finance, maybe it is not directly related now in Cambodia, but I know in Holland there are two banks. They are primarily focusing on sustainability in their marketing activities. They say our bank is not funding like fossil fuel. Our bank is not funding with arm industry. Our bank is cross-checking ESG of the firms before going into relationship. So if companies are not strong in ESG area, they are not friendly environment, they don't have societal policies, and their governance is a little bit tricky, then they say, we are not doing business with them. It's their competitive the power or their competitive option strategy. They are direct substitution to larger banks who are not, promoting those ideas. You see, it's very broad, very subjective approach in this analysis. That's why it's very easy to put very logical sentences, but you can also connect your industry-specific and ESG-specific information. So please spend some time understanding your industry and your companies, your two company per person, and then have these discussions. It's fun to deal with this puzzle. And there are no rights or wrongs. Let's see how far you can go. Suppliers, whether their bargaining power is strong. Maybe raw materials for textile is so scarce. There's a scarcity, so maybe a cotton producers are affecting the competitive power in industry. And whether these suppliers are also doing with ESG. What happens in ESG reporting in Europe, if you produce something, you need to trace back how your raw materials or spare parts are coming. Maybe as a company, you are making those products very environmentally friendly, but the parts that you are buying are not environmentally friendly. So legislations are also covering your supply chain. And buyers is finally the consumers. Is it very easy to switch among competition? Can you easily change your bank accounts? Or is it a big hassle? Can you change your telecom provider very easily? while keeping your number. I'm not sure whether you can keep your number when you change your GSM provider. It is called number portability. Is it the case in Cambodia? You change your telecom provider, can you keep your old number? Can someone answer? By speaking loud, I don't see chat in my screen.
I think in Cambodia we can keep the number, but not like the beginning. Like for
Mhm.
example, the number is 012. You have to change that, but the following number you can keep in Cambodia.
Okay, so I got a number, everybody knows it. In 2 years' time, I'd like to switch from Smart to, I don't know, X Telecom, and I can keep that number. It's what you're saying?
Yes, Professor, like you can keep the following number. For example, your number is 012 and there are 6 more digits following that. You can keep the 6 digit, but you have to change the front.
First prefix, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, if people don't know which provider I switch, if they dial my old number, it's not going to work.
Yes, it's not going to work.
Okay, so that is not exactly number portability. Yeah, it's strange how they make sure that your number is not given elsewhere, someone else. So that's tricky one. Because since the 9 digits are important, maybe they have the exact same number with their prefix already. As when you bring it, it will be twice. Let's see. This is the stages. The competition is evolving in telecom. It was exactly the same like 20 years ago when I had my phone in Turkey or in the Netherlands. You change the provider, you had to take a new number. And now you can take any number because there is no prefix. They fix it in the background. So your number is unique. Well, how strong the competitive power of buyers? If you buy a t-shirt, you can buy from X shop or Y shop or X shop. From X brand, Y brand, there are plenty, and you don't think about it because there are plenty of transactions. But when you buy a house, it's quite different because you don't buy every year a house. If you take a credit card, yeah, you can change it, but not every day. These are per industry, it is different. Like in higher education, you made a decision, you jump into a higher education, like university. You don't want to change it every year, right? And price sensitivity, that's something that's very important. If there are large price differences, maybe buyers will think about it twice. And we know that in Cambodia, there are price differences among universities, right? Some universities are relatively cheaper, and some universities are relatively more expensive for tuition fee, etc. So when we look at that spectrum, do you think Comet is in the lower spectrum and higher spectrum in terms of price sensitivity? I mean, you know your tuition fees, right? And you know the other university tuition fees. Is Comet cheaper than the rest or more expensive than the other universities when you compare? Or the same?
We think we are on the higher spectrum, Professor.
In high spectrum, yeah. Yeah, still compared to international standards, I'm sure it's very affordable for many. Because this morning I read a news that Stanford tuition fee for 1 year is $90,000, $90,000 per year. It's outrageous. You know, and it is, you know, excluding anything. Imagine as a student, if you need in the United States, I don't know, maybe $20,000 per year for housing and transportation, eating, books, activities. Well, 110 times 4, $440,000 for a university degree. That's outrageous. In the Netherlands, it's for regular students like I think $4,000 per year, only tuition fee, but that's really nothing compared to United States. And I believe it is maybe $20,000 if you are going to a specific special university with a specific education. So the question is whether pricing versus substitute products going to another school is a problem in your industry. And what is the impact of sustainability? Imagine you have two universities. One, you know that it is having sustainable approach. One is, you know, similarly at quality, similar price, and maybe sustainability will be just a part of your selection. I don't know, maybe they are sponsoring electric scooters rather than you see, that could be something that you can think of. Maybe they don't have plastic cutleries, plastic bags in the university. You know, these are the little things that will have an impact on buyers' decisions. But it has to do with also pricing, substitute products, and the competition. You see, everything is interrelated. That's why we have 5 boxes to think about. When you are responsible a box, please look at all these bullet points. Visualize your industry. And then try to explain what is the situation in your industry. Next to that, think about whether ESG will have any impact on the competitive power. Well, this was my introduction. Are there any questions regarding your next deliverable, 5 forces and sustainability?
Professor, I have a question. I would like to ask if when each of us are responsible for a box, we just pick 2 companies to compare, like when we, and then write it the point that you gave us in the box that you gave us. Just 2 companies compare, and then for 1 box, 2 companies, for 1 box, 2 companies, right?
No. Not 2 companies. That's a very good question. Thank you. The 2 company is for going forward. You need to understand the very specifics of these 2 companies. But these boxes are about, let's say, every company So look, you cannot just make conclusions based on your two companies. That's why I'm suggesting look at two companies each for general information, get together, talk about it, and fill those pages as a summary of, let's say, your 10 companies, maybe also the other things that you know about the industry. So these boxes are about all companies in the industry. Your two specific company will help you to understand a little bit more about the industry. And if every member knows more about two companies, in team discussions, you can compare 10 companies. Then you can fill these boxes based on those discussions. Is it more clear now?
Yes, Professor, I get it now. Thank you.
And it was excellent questions. And please, anything you wonder, please do ask, because it would be then more easy to dive into your homework at some point. Okay, looking at the time, we are exactly halfway. Let's have maybe 2-3 minutes a comfort break if you'd like to get a glass of water, to have a comfort break. And when we come back, we'll start presenting our pastel pages, but also by using our industry facts and figures. So make everything in one flowing document. So bring the pages next to each other. In like 3 minutes, we'll start presenting. And we'll start with garment industry. Then following tourism, finance, agriculture, energy, retail, and construction, education, last one. So garment industry, when you are ready, just upload your document, and in 3 minutes, we'll start explaining. So if you have a little break, do it now. I'll take the same too. See you in a bit. I think we can start now.
Greeting, Professor. Can you hear me?
Yes. Let me see if I can see you too.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Garment.
So yeah, again, greeting, Professor. So I am from Garment Group team. So today I'm gonna present about the textile.
It's GFT, right? Garment, footwear, and travel. Yeah, textile, footwear,
Yes,
and travel goods.
yeah, but the title just put garment. Yeah.
Okay, so you have a nice page. We know that. Your
Thank you.
facts and figures. Let's see what you have.
Okay, here's
we are
our figure.
we are using this moment also to show others how you improved your work. Nice facts and figures. You see, you already have key players. You can easily divide those selected companies to your team members. And I can imagine garment, footwear, and travel should be there.
Yes. So yep, I'm gonna continue. And here's the pastel.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I'm gonna begin my presentation about pastel, the external environment assessment. Yeah, focusing on the ESG. So firstly, for political factor, it is in a favorable state, as we can note that the political nowadays is stable, although there is an existence of unofficial fee, complex paperwork process, and transparency issues. But in other aspects, like the minimum wage requirement policy are increasing, like in 2024, it is $204. And the government also helped to set out some GFT development strategy 2022 to 2027. And the trade agreement is in postil, such as the BA from the European Union, providing duty-free access. Secondly, the economic condition, which is strongly favorable. We can see that there's a resurgence in the global demand from key trading partners like the US and the EU. The increment of GFT manufacturer to 1,326 factories in 2024, although there is a decrease in export due to the inflammatory pressure, wars, and the pandemic. But we can see that now it is improving in this aspect, and the dollarization, the stable exchange rate, and the use of US dollar is providing a ease for the export of our country in government sector. Next, the social cultural force, which is neutral, as the concern over the safety and worker condition are still an issue. About 4,520 unlicensed and poor maintained transportation over 200,000 GFT workers every day. But the GFT worker increased to nearly 900,000 workers, mostly female. And Cambodia is quite a young population, which provide efficiency in workforce, productivity, and abundance in the labor force as well. Fourth is the technological factor, which is quite unfavorable, as you can see that the rise in e-commerce, although it changed the people ways of shopping, which is not flexible for some traditional shop nowadays, and 88% of the job in government sector are at high risk of being automated, and it is actually difficult to for some industry in government to upgrade to the technology due to the high capital cost, the increase of demand for technician and high-skilled worker who can operate the new machinery are very required for every industry, and the technological skill gap for worker also an issue. For environmental factor, it is still currently strongly unfavorable. As from our team can see over the concern of pollution, the release of chemical and other pollutants. The wind and solar power are still in their infancy. Not many factory developing the renewable energy. The lack of recycling ecosystem, and also the rise of temperature as it is currently cause the working condition for the workers to be undesirable, and also the extreme weather events such as flood damage the factory, and also lower the productions of the factories. And lastly, for legals and regulatory factor, we can see it's favorable now as the government provides tax incentive and set up special economic zones. Anti-corruption law increase the regulation to combat the corruption, and the political and geographical factors, investment law and labor from many countries also play a role in helping the attracting more investors to Cambodia as well. Thank you. That's it for my presentation.
Well done. Nice information. Also, your facts and figures were rich. So, improving nicely, Garment GFT team. Thank you. Tourism is following. You have to stop sharing so that the others can upload.
They haven't stopped sharing.
GFT team, you need to stop sharing, maybe. Okay.
Hi, Professor. I'm Motanak from the tourism group. I would like to start my presentation now. Down. Is it that book? No. No, yeah, next to the Zoom slide. Next to the... Just come here.
Look, you need to be here. I don't know if you can see this. Yes. To the right, to the right, to the right. Bottom, left. Left.
Press it. I thought I can't.
Huh?
I can't.
Oh. Slowly.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that, Professor. Okay, to start over. Hi, I'm Motanak, and I'm from the tourism group. So upon our data that we covered from last week, we have updated the figures and added some more facts, such as the amount of funding for tourism, the Ministry of Tourism from the government, and the data about our tourism inbound, how tourists come to our country, either it could be through waterway, air, or land, and also a number of hotels, restaurants, and also the occupancy rate of hotels as well for our tourism data. And
so how many million people are visiting the country?
For last year it was 3.9 million. There's what
Where can we see that?
Yes.
Where can we see that 3.2 million? Okay.
Yes.
Arrivals. thousands. Okay, so it needs to go up compared to pre-COVID periods.
Yes.
Okay, so you have more information. Cool. 12% of GDP. It's a lot of money. And how about Pestel? What is the impact of external?
So in order to simplify the presentation, I have divided into like key points for each of the Pestel analysis. So firstly, for political, we deem it as neutral due to three key reasons. Firstly, is a stable political environment, as you know, Cambodia has enjoyed political stability in recent years, which has contributed a lot to the growth in Cambodia's both Cambodia's GDP and tourism industry as well. And next is government support. The government has also given out initiatives and promote tourism through a lot of marketing schemes and marketing initiatives through such as by promoting through embassies, as well as a lot of agencies as well to promote Cambodia to the international stage. However, and also one more thing too is the government has also set initiatives to improve infrastructure related to tourism as well, such as key roads and key bridges and airports that would help facilitate tourists to come into Cambodia and access to tourism sites and tourist destinations around the country. However, Cambodia is still a country with a lot of corruption as well. As a data by the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index, we see that Cambodia is ranked 150th out of 180 countries around the world, and which ranks Cambodia as one of the most corrupt countries in Asia. And with this too, it also affects a lot of customs. Sorry about that. A lot of customs procedures as well as border crossings, which hinders tourists from coming to Cambodia. And not just that too, also affect a lot of things such as law enforcement, judiciary, and businesses, which also gives a bad perception and hinders tourists from coming to the country. Next is economic conditions. We deem it as strongly favorable because due to three key reasons. First is fast economic growth. Cambodia's economic growth has been remarkably good and steady for the recent years, and which resulted in an increase in disposable income among local population, creating a potential boost for both domestic and international tourism as well. With Cambodia averaging around 7% in GDP growth between 2010 and 2019. And next is the use of the dollar and also favorable exchange rates for Cambodian real as well. As with the usage of dollars, it gives tourists easier access and make it easier for tourists to come to Cambodia and spend money without needing to change to the local currency. And also with the favorable exchange rate to the Cambodian real as well, it also make it cheaper for tourists to come to Cambodia as well and spend their money, which makes Cambodia still one of the most affordable places to travel in Asia. Next is stable inflation. As mentioned earlier about price as well, inflation has been on a steady course for Cambodia for the past 10 years. And thanks to good monetary policy and fiscal policy set up by the government, it averaged only around 3%, with a little bit of hike during after COVID-19, but it's slowly going down as well. This, like I said earlier too, allows Cambodia to maintain its status as a budget destination in Asia. Next is social cultural forces. We deem it as favorable as well, as Cambodia is rich in traditions and historical sites and culture, which attract a lot of tourists who are into the cultural theme and wanting to know more about the country's culture and history. Cambodia has a lot of that to offer to tourists, such as the Cambodia showcasing on their traditions and also the temples. This has attracted a lot of tourists from all over the world. As I mentioned earlier too, even though COVID-19 have shrunk the tourist numbers down, however, the growth has been fast. As I mentioned earlier too, tourists from last year up until the third quarter of 2023 has reached a number of 3.9 million tourists and expected to grow further this year as well. Next is the increase in Cambodia's middle class as well. As I mentioned earlier too, with Cambodia's increase in GDP growth, it also affected and also contributed to the rise in the domestic tourism as well, as more and more people have more disposable income as to spend on their leisure time and travel as well. Next is technological factors. First is we also deem it as favorable as well, as we're living in a very connected world and very globalized world, with a lot of digital connectivity and the improvement of the internet infrastructure as well and mobile technology have made it easier for tourists to do research and book travel arrangements, and with the emergence of online travel agencies and booking platforms such as Agoda or Booking.com have made it easier for tourists to come to the country and access a lot of facilities just by the touch of their phone. And next to it is also the introduction of Google Maps and GPS system also make it easier for tourists to find various locations, explore new areas that they've never been to or it's not publicized enough, so that they can know more about the country, and it makes it very interesting for tourists, such as tourists who are into, we call them backpacking tourists, who always like going and exploring new areas. And next is social media influence. It's closely related with digital connectivity as well, with the popularity of social media platforms such as Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram as well. As with these platforms, also has make it easier to showcase Cambodia to various countries around the world as well, and which also influenced a lot of travel decisions from foreigners as well to the country. Next is environmental factors. In this case, though, we deem it as unfavorable because of two key reasons. First is natural attractions. Although we may say it's unfavorable, but one key note too is that Cambodia has a lot of natural landscapes such as beaches, jungles, and national parks such as the Ream National Park and the Bokor National Park, which offers tourists who are more into the ecotourism side of things as a destination for ecotourism. However, there's still a lack of the environmental sustainability in Cambodia as well. As Cambodian tourism industry, I've witnessed a lot of environmental sustainability gaps. One of the primary concern is the strain on natural resources, such as water, deforestation, and habitat degradation. With the increase in tourism, it also has a lot of effect on the environment as well. With more tourists comes also a lot of waste as well. And there has not been any regulations or any plans to regulate the waste management for tourists from what we researched. So that's why we think that there's still a lack of environmental sustainability set up by the government. Next is legal and regulatory factors. We deem it as favorable as well. There's also two key reasons. First is ease of regulations and permits. The Ministry of Tourism and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs have made it easier for tourists to apply for visas and permits when traveling to Cambodia, and where they can also apply either for e-visas or visa on arrival to simplify entry procedures for tourists from different countries. And favorable visa policies can attract more visitors and stimulate tourism growth as well. Next is favorable tax policies, mainly to businesses in the tourism industry, and mainly for businesses that are in tourism hotspots such as Siem Reap, Battambang, Sihanoukville, and Kampot. As part of the government's COVID-19 recovery plan, they have given out tax exemptions for companies and businesses in the tourism industry and those hotspots that I mentioned. So they are exempted from all types of multi-tax payable, excluding VAT and accommodation tax, and has been in effect since 2022 up until now. So with all that, that's for our team's PESTEL analysis.
Okay, so you nicely explained everything. So there are more at your keywords than your stories. A little suggestion should be, I mean, you have 2 words, you're explaining 200, so make it here a slightly richer this page with your voiceover. Maybe you could put some more keywords to explain what you mean. This could be too not self-explanatory. So try to make this page a little more detailed in the final version, okay? And also my question to all teams, you tend to put corruption in political area. Is it political or is it legal and regulatory forces? So that is a question to all teams. So what do you think?
Professor, for our finance team, we regard it as legal factors.
regulatory factors. Okay. Wow, this is little homework, and it's sounds also logic to put in the political factors because it's in the as part of the political system. But in my opinion, if we think twice, it fits to legal regulatory factors because regulations are there, but legal forces are not using it. That's why the unofficial fees are part of that system. You could also look at, I mean, you could also Google it. Although you can also look your textbook definitions of political stability or legal regulatory factors. So that is something to adjust along the way. Perfect. And it's okay if you have a few areas less or more, or maybe not correct. We learn from each other. We update our documents along the way. So it is absolutely no worries if something is not quite right in your presentations. We learn. All right, we move to finance team. Oh, very rich page.
Greeting, Professor. This is our finance industry page. This is the business overview from last week, and we add more information as a two-pager.
So it's banking and finance. There are lots of information available. That's what's that bank? So who's the biggest bank? Is Akleda still?
Akleda, man. Yes, Professor, is Akleda still the biggest bank in Cambodia?
It's like 44 microfinance deposits. Where you say Akleda? Okay, this is 52% of market share. Is that correct?
Yes, Professor.
Advanced Bank of Asia. It's ABA, right? ABA.
ABA.
Yeah, ABA. Canadian specialized banks and others. You see, when we have these figures, we suddenly see the picture of the industry much more clearly. You see, you also have microfinance deposits, non-deposits. It's very rich page. Thanks for making it.
Yes.
And how about Pestel for finance industry? What's going on?
Professor, this is the PESTEL, the external environment analysis of finance industry, and we learned from last team that we need to make it more richer in terms of information. Yes. So, Professor, I will start my presentation on the PESTEL, the external environment assessment of the finance industry. So, to begin with, is a political factor. Political factor in Cambodia for the finance industry is favorable because political stability. Even though there are many controversies surrounding politics in Cambodia, when it's come to finance industry, Cambodia is a country with political stability. Since Cambodia currently have no war with neighboring countries, there is less uncertainty caused by politics that pose a threat to business in the finance industry. Moreover, the country relationship is quite good with other countries around the world. Even though there are some issues with the Western country regarding human rights and democracy, it strengthened the country relationship with Asian countries such as China. Next is the taxation policy. Taxation policy in Cambodia is strongly favorable for the finance industry in Cambodia due to the tax incentive offered to this industry. First is the VAT. VAT in Cambodia is extended for insurance services and primary financial service. There is a tax holiday in which business can receive income tax exemption from 3 to 9 years. Moreover, the business has experience that experience loss can carry their loss forward for 5 years, which they can reduce their tax payable. Additionally, there are also many tax incentives for business operating in the special economic zone, the SEZs, or the business that is qualified as QIP. So the favorable political factor in Cambodia is paving a way for a strong corporate governance principle that enhance transparency, accountability, and ultimately long-term sustainability. Next is the economic condition. I regard economic condition in Cambodia as neutral. It used to be favorable, but now it was neutral because the real estate market, which I will be cover later on. First is the economic growth. Cambodia is one of the fastest growing economies in the world with an annual growth rate of more than 7%. Currently, Cambodia is a low middle income country, but it has a vision of being a high middle income country by 2030 and a high income country by 2050. A growing economic means that there is more disposable income, leading to a greater need for financial tools such as saving and investing. Next is the inflation rate. Cambodia experienced a moderate inflation rate of only 5% per annum. The moderate inflation lead to economic growth and investment in this country. The interest rate in Cambodia is also a favorable factor since even though it's generally higher than developed countries, the high interest rate can be attractive to banks and other financial institutions looking for a higher return on their investment. Next is the exchange rate and the dollarization. Although Khmer Rial is a stable currency, but it is a weak currency among the other currency. However, Cambodia is a dollarized country, which means that Cambodia is using US dollar. And US dollar is a much stable currency. It's reduced the need and reduce the risk of currency conversion for businesses, especially the business that engage in international trade and finance. Therefore, higher investment inflow lead to a higher demand in financial service. And now I will cover the recent struggle in the real estate market due to the oversupply of investment and current global uncertainty, especially the reduction in Chinese investment. Due to this issue, non-performing loan increased to 5%, which is an issue, a remarkable number. The prolonged weakness in the real estate sector could lead to financial distress and put pressure on financial sector and the broader economy as many loans have default or become a non-performing loans. Economic condition can influence the company ability to invest in social initiative. Conversely, social factor can also affect economic performance. As business with strong social credential may attract more customer and investors. Next is the social cultural sector, which is neutral in Cambodia case. First of all is the literacy rate. In this case, I am talking the financial literacy rate. The financial literacy rate in Cambodia is that a large proportion of population still lack basic financial literacy, making them hesitate to engage with complex financial with financial products. So the lack of financial literacy rate in Cambodia decreased the financial inclusion. Next is the consumer behavior and preference. Even though Cambodia is start to engage a lot with the financial industry, the financial services are highly demanded by Cambodian. However, in the rural area or the countryside, there are still many informal saving which they did not engage in the financial institution. And finally, the demographic. Cambodia is a country with a young and growing population, which means an increase in urbanization, which means this factor drive the demand of financial services. Moving on is the technological factor, which is favorable in Cambodia case. Especially the mobile banking. E-banking is very famous today among the Cambodian. especially the people living in Phnom Penh City. With the young population and government initiative, such as the Pentagon strategy, Cambodia is able to adapt mobile banking very quickly. This will provide a better financial inclusion and a development in the financial industry. Next is the digital literacy. Many Cambodians in the rural areas still lack of digital literacy. However, Cambodia has a potential to improve digital literacy due to its young population mentioned earlier in the social cultural factors. And finally, one of the concerning factor in Cambodia, technological factor, and perhaps the whole world, is the cybersecurity. Cambodia developing technological infrastructure might be vulnerable to cyber attacks, putting financial data at risk. However, the government have established the anti-cyber crime department in order to deal with this, but it seems like it is still a main risk in Cambodia, especially financial sectors. Technology in Cambodia, such as the fintechs and blockchain technology, improve the operational efficiency. It's reduced carbon footprint and develop sustainability while it's meet customer demand. Moving on is the environmental, which is somehow unfavorable in Cambodia case. First is due to the climate change risk. The climate change risk impact microfinance and insurance company the most. In Cambodia, normally the natural disaster are droughts and floods, which can damage infrastructure such as buildings, internet connection, which disrupt the financial operation. This problem is common for microfinance in the rural area. Natural disaster can also increase the risk of loan default, as it's damage the borrower property and livelihood, especially the farmers who are reliant on traditional agriculture. And the climate change also interfere with insurance company in terms of risk prediction and pricing policy. It affects the operation and the profitability of the insurance company. And next is the environmental awareness. Cambodian have a low awareness when it's come to environmental, which can be a very concerning consequence in the future that affects the demand of financial services. Foreign investor might avoid Cambodia if they have a strong principle for ESG. And green finance, such as green bond, is somehow not really effective in promoting environmental sustainability with the lack of environmental awareness. However, Cambodia start to have green bonds. Green bond is relatively new to Cambodia. However, it was supported by the government. So far, there is one green bond, which is issued by the Gold Tree PLC, and there will be more green bonds in the near future. Finally, the legal and regulatory factor, which is unfavorable in Cambodia case. First of all, is the money laundering. Cambodia has been on and off the money laundering gray list. In particular, Cambodia was removed from gray list in 2015. In 2019, it was added back, and last year it was removed from the list again. Money laundering is very significant, have a very significant impact on the financial industry. Nevertheless, the government of Cambodia has issued some guidelines regarding anti-money laundering, which can be effective in the future. Next is the dishonest dealing or corruption. Cambodia ranked as ranked at number 158 among 180 countries, with the score of only 22 out of 100. This situation will make investors hesitate to invest in Cambodia due to the unfair competition that might happen. So it negatively affects finance industry because lack of investor will reduce the demand of financial industry. Finally, the weak judicial system, in which company have a very low confidence in the ability, have a low confidence in the legal system, which is the ability to operate independently. It's mainly again due to dishonest dealing, such as corruption. This is not only increasing risk for the financial institution, it's also discourage lending. It will also discourage foreign investment in Cambodia, which is a significantly effect on the finance industry. However, the judicial system in Cambodia is slowly improving. That is the reason why we regard the legal and regulatory factor in Cambodia as unfavorable instead of strongly unfavorable. That is the end of our PESTEL assessment. Thank you, Professor.
Very nicely elaborated. But when you have your pitches, try to make it less than 10 minutes, ideally 5 to 6 minutes per team. But, I don't want to interrupt, but, we are then exceeding our the time limits. Let's see how fast we can go for the next 5 teams. Agriculture, jump in and try to finish it in 5-6 minutes, okay? Otherwise, we're not going to make in 1.5 hours.
Please wait, Professor. I'm trying to figure out how to share screen.
There is a green button underneath.
I found it.
Yay!
Enlarge it.
You're doing right, but you have to, click upwards. Yes, you found it. Very quick overview. GDP share. What is the percentage?
So the GDP share percentage is 22%.
Market. Okay, it's not market share. You can change the name. It's GDP share, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Key products.
We made some changes on the key players. Mostly the main industry are the main industry are CP Group and Mengla Tea Group.
2 companies.
Yes, they're the main key players for the agriculture industry.
But there are hundreds of thousands of people working in this industry, right?
Yes.
Rural areas. So we need to find a way to cover those as well, because if you have 2 companies, it's not enough to evaluate the whole industry. So when you move to ESG areas, you need to find a way to assess, to evaluate those 20%, 24% of the whole economy. Maybe you have to make a little selections like mid-size, a small size. Try to find some data points, some companies that you could, of some internet sites or some statistics that should give us to you about ESG standards in the industry.
Got it, Professor.
Okay.
And then since we would like to move on to our PESTEL analysis. Monica, you can start.
Hello, Professor. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So my name is Monica, and I'm also part of the agriculture industry group. And today I'll be talking about the PESTEL factors. And the first factor is the political factor. And we assess it to be favorable. And it is under the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, and Fisheries. And we also talked about the Cambodia's National Strategic Development Plan, which is from 2019-2023, the rectangular strategy, which served as the highest level of policies and planning for the country, focused on enhancing infrastructure for agricultural research, supporting technology improvement, including seeds, promoting good agricultural practices, promoting mechanization, improving land use management, and advocating for more resilient livestock and fisheries practices. The third is the climate change strategy plan, which is from the period 2014 to 2023 and serve as a roadmap for addressing and integrating climate change issue into national and sectoral development planning, which is to enhance resilience and promote low carbon and green activities across the country. With these strategic plans, there are 8 key objectives, 2 of which directly align with the activities of the agricultural and natural resource research and development sector. These objectives focus on promoting climate change resilience through improved food, water, and energy security, as well as supporting the climate resilience as supporting the resilience of Mekong River, Tonle Sap Lake, protected areas, and biodiversity. Lastly, I want to talk about the taxation. Prime Minister Hun Manet has announced a 2-year tax exception from 2024 to 2025 on key goods, including mangoes, longoons, aquaculture, animal husbandry, and palm oil production to elevate financial strains on both the general public and the private sector in agriculture. Next, I will be talking about the economic conditions, which is favorable in the aquaculture industry. Firstly, market access and trade policies. Cambodia's government has paid high attention to expand the export markets. The major exports were different rice varieties to China, Vietnam, and Thailand. This hopefully expands trade paths for peppers to go to China and further on to the US, Middle East, and North Africa. Secondly, access to credit. Despite increased access to finance in rural area, credit for agriculture and agri-business is difficult to acquire. High collateral requirements, high interest short-term loans, lack of credit history, and low financial literacy are among the reasons for their poor financial access. Although in 2022, ACLIDA signed an MOU with HICA and SMBC to fund a $135 million loan access is still difficult. Thirdly, GDP growth. The agricultural sector remains as one of the economic drivers, despite its share of the country's GDP has shrunk. In 2023, it has contributed 22% to Cambodia's GDP, showcasing that the demand for Cambodia's agricultural products are growing strong. Next is the social cultural forces, which is neutral in this industry. The first point is traditional practices. Traditional farming practices have a long history in Cambodia and are deeply ingrained in the country's culture. These traditions frequently include cooperative land usage, shared labor, and reliance on traditional knowledge passed down through generations by cultural transmission. Despite modernization attempts, many farmers continue to use old practices driven by cultural norms and beliefs. While some method holds value, they may not be optimal for maximizing yields or adapting to changing conditions. The second point is rural to urban migration. Young people are migrating from rural regions to work in construction, shoes, and garment industry in the cities, or they may move overseas to find employment. Rural youth are valuable resources for rural development because they possess the innovation and willingness to take risks that are frequently at the core of smallholder farming. However, as the majority of them still choose to go work in the cities or in neighboring countries, this can drastically decrease the labor force in the agricultural sector in rural areas. Lastly, the generals. As labor becomes scarce and more women work in agriculture as a result of men moving more frequently to neighboring countries or cities than women. In addition, compared to males, women have less access to public services, loans, and training. Newer technologies are made are more relevant and made to fit the physical characteristics of male workers, depriving female workers of tools that might be beneficial to them. By diversifying income streams, by boosting production and sale of mixed agricultural components under women's responsibility can help create earnings that remain in women's hands, strengthening their status and management of resources. In addition to increasing climate resilience, assisting women in preserving their traditional knowledge for forest conservation also gives them the ability to actively participate in decisions on the use of shared resources. And for the next 3 points, I will let my teammate Bud present it. Thank you.
Well, guys, we are really taking so much time. We will never finish it. So I will ask you to be more quick in your explanations. And also for next week, please rehearse. Don't make it 10, 12 minutes presentations.
Okay, Professor. Thank you, Nikat. Onto technological factors. It's looking very unfavorable for the agriculture industry, especially when we consider 3 factors. Technological readiness, which Cambodia has ranked very low. According to the Supreme National Economic Council, Cambodia ranks 102nd out of 141 countries. And limited internet connectivity and low digital literacy among rural populations hinder the effective utilization of digital agricultural technologies such as mobile apps, online marketplaces, and precision farming tools. Financial constraints also played a huge factor as the upfront costs associated with acquiring modern agricultural technologies are sometimes difficult for smallholder farmers to get access to. Furthermore, a large proportion of Cambodian farmers lack the technical skills and knowledge required to effectively utilize those technology, thus creating infrastructure challenges. Moving on to environmental factors, it's strongly unfavorable when it comes to climate change, drought, floods, and other extreme weather events. Pose significant threat, as we can see in September 2022, the heaviest rainfall in 3 years caused severe flooding in 14 provinces, with 85,000 households affected and landslides that led to the evacuation of 5,000 farming households. Deforestation leads to land degradation and reducing soil fertility and agriculture productivity. Water scarcity, especially during dry seasons, can limit agricultural production, and many rural areas lack the proper irrigation system to store and distribute water effectively throughout the dry months. And lastly, when it comes to legal and regulatory factors, for contract farming laws, the Cambodian government is taking steps to develop a contract farming law with the aim of stabilizing agricultural commodity prices, attracting investors, and fostering partnerships between the public, private, and producers in the country. This includes training on price negotiation, the benefits of agricultural cooperatives, and facilitating connections between farmers, traders, producers, and buyers. And lastly, according to the Law on Agriculture Cooperative, Chapter 3, Agriculture Cooperatives, Section 1, Formation and Registration of Agriculture Cooperatives, an agricultural cooperative to be registered shall comply with the following conditions. 1, a group of minimum 15 people holding Khmer nationality, being 18 years of age, whose primary business falls within agriculture production system, agro-industry, agri-business, or services related to agricultural production sector may request the establishment of said cooperative. And we can see here that it's actually looking to be quite favorable. And this concludes the PESTEL analysis for the agriculture industry. Thank you.
Okay, nicely analyzed. Thank you. Again, we still have time issues. Next 4 teams must be a little bit more quick. And also agricultural team, a little homework for you. Think about how can you cover your industry. Are you going to look at the per product, cassava, rice, or fish? Or are you going to look at the large firms, mid firms, small firms? You need to think about a structure that we can discuss also next week, how you would like to deal with that, okay? Have a team time and try to understand how can you cover the agriculture industry. Wonderful. Let's move to energy team. So try to make it 5 minutes per team so that we can finish on 8 o'clock, because time is now valuable. We have 4 teams and 20 minutes.
Greeting, Professor. Wait a minute. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Wait a minute. Hey, okay. I'll start by introducing our team. I'm from the energy team. Here is our overview from last week. We haven't changed anything since we didn't receive any comment. We just changed from market share to GDP and the percentage of fossil fuel that you have mentioned. And now I'll start my presentation regarding our PESTEL analysis. First, we start off by talking about the political factors. Since right now there's conflict between Russia and Ukraine, and it caused the indirect impact on Cambodian energy industry. And some countries that are friends with Cambodia are punishing Russia with economic sanctions, and thus causing disruptions in the flow of gas and energy from Ukraine to other countries, including Cambodia as well. So that we can say the situation of this factor is rather unfavorable. And next off, we'll move on to the E of PESTEL, which we focus on economic conditions. Despite of the facts that there are some challenge regarding the rising energy price due to indirect impact of economic sanctions, Cambodia economy remained resilient and stable, as Cambodia GDP growth rate was at 5.3% in 2023, and it predicted to rise to 6% in 2024. And the stability signal a promising opportunity for investment in the energy sector, regardless of the potential cost implications. So that we can assume that the economic sector is neutral, because even if there is a significant increase in the price, Cambodia still be able to handle it, as there is an increase in overall GDP growth. And next up, we'll move on to the S, where we focus on socio-cultural force. In Cambodia, the socio-cultural force in the energy industry is strongly favorable, because Cambodian has been increasingly concerned about environmental issue and the impact of traditional energy sources such as coal that may cause bad impact on human health and environment. So that is why there is a growing interest in cleaner and renewable energy source. And then more Cambodian start to value sustainability and protecting the environment for the future generations. And this idea is increasingly increase the interest in using cleaner energy source. And due to this reason, more and more people are investing in social panel for their homes, companies, and this has further increased the demand for energy efficient product in Cambodia. And next up, we'll continue to the technological factors. In Cambodia, the energy industry analysis regarding technological factors is favorable, I would say, because the renewable energy technologies such as solar and hydroelectric power are continually improving, and these technologies are becoming more and more efficient and cost effective, making them acceptable options for Cambodia energy needs. And we can see that many Cambodians have continuously invested in into increase energy efficiency in many industries, including transportations and manufacturing, and this have to reduce energy use and reliance on conventional fossil fuel. And Cambodia also make investment on the development of infrastructure, such as the expansion of energy distribution and emissions system, and thus facilitate the integrations of renewable energy source into the power system and increase the energy availability in rural areas. And next up, we'll move on to the E of the PESTEL, where we focus on environmental factor. Like since we all know that Cambodia is a tropical country, right? And this gives them a significant advantage when it comes to renewable energy. Like the country can enjoy the abundance of solar irradiance, meaning that there are plenty of sunlight available for solar power development, and this for a lot of potential for Cambodian to leverage the solar energy as part of its sustainable energy strategy. And additionally, Cambodia River also give an excellent opportunity for hydropower development. Like with numerous rivers across the country, hydropower offer a reliable and renewable energy source that align well with Cambodian renewable energy goals. And by using hydropower, Cambodia can further reduce its reliance on fossil fuel and move toward a greener energy mix. And despite of being relative small nations, Cambodia wind power sector is experiencing growth, particularly in regions like Siem Reap, and these expansions add to Cambodia effort to diversify its renewable energy source, providing another avenue for sustainable energy productions. However, it is still essential to consider the potential challenge that come with adopting green energy, like transitioning to renewable energy source may cause some disruptions to habitat and water resource management. And it's crucial for Cambodian to carefully plan and manage this impact to ensure that the transitions to green energy is both environmentally and socially sustainable. And after all the evaluation, we can see that the environmental factor is actually favorable for Cambodian energy industry, given like its abundance of solar irradiance, hydropower potential, and growing wind power sectors. And last but not least, we move on to the legal and regulatory factor. In order to ensure the compliance with existing law and regulation governing renewable energy production is important because Cambodia has established a law such as law on electricity environmental regulation to govern the renewable energy sector, and this regulation provide a framework for sustainable energy development and ensure that the project adheres to environmental standard. And Cambodia also offer various incentive program aims at incentivizing investment in renewable energy, and this include tax incentive, provide a law on investments, and incentive outlined in Environmental Code of Cambodia. And this program are designed to attract investment, promote innovations, and also the adoption of renewable energy source. And in summary, Cambodia legal and regulatory framework for renewable energy is favorable since it has a strong regulation promoting compliance and range of incentive program to incentivize people to use greener energy as well. And this is the end for my presentations. Thank you.
Okay, I have two remarks. One, you change the font type. Don't do that. Try to put less words explaining your stuff. Also, same with other teams. Don't play with the font types and other stuff. Also, going back to previous page, go one page before. You see, I don't see here much facts and figures. You know, how many kilowatts of energy is going on? You know, how many households are using energy, how much industries. So you need to pay some more attention for your facts and figures. If I look at your charts, all three things are about the same thing, right? Solar power, hydropower, fuel oil, fossil, hydropower. You're repeating three statistics 3 times without giving much information. So go deeper with your facts and figures. So show us some information. There are publications about that. You see the banking page, how detailed it was. I need to see more detail about your industry for the upcoming lecture. Can we agree on that?
Sure, Professor. Thank you.
Okay, let's move quickly to retail, and please do not read everything. Now, 3 teams must finish it in like 12 minutes.
Professor, can you see it?
Yes.
I will start it. Here is our previous slide, and we have adjust some information, and also we have add some more effect and number into this. Here's our here is our fact and number, the second page that we added. So we will proceed with our presentation right now. So William can start.
It's still loading.
Good
We don't.
evening. No, still, yes.
Professor, can you see the slide I have already shared? Wait.
Refresh the page.
Yeah, Professor, I will fix it right now. Wait.
Yes, now we can see something.
Oh, can you see it now?
Yep.
Here is our previous slide that we have adjusted some number and also add some more information regarding this e-commerce and also the retail industry like e-commerce and then the traditional store as well. So we will
Nice.
proceed with our presentation right now. William, you can start.
So good
Try to
evening, everyone.
Try to summarize the pages rather than reading out loud everything, because otherwise we will not finish on time.
Yes, Professor.
So can we start, right, sir? Yes. Good evening, everyone. Today we'll dive into the Cambodian retail industry, analyzing its external environment through the PESTEL framework with a particular focus on the ESG aspects. For the political factors, we believe that it is favorable to the industry. The Cambodian government actively supports responsible business practices. In 2022, they launched their first responsible business hub, offering a variety of support services in the field of responsible business. This helps increase job opportunities, encourage sustainable practices, and many other benefits. Additionally, government policies such as the Industrial Development Policy promote economic diversification, competitiveness, and productivity. Cambodia's open economy, evident through WTO membership and ASEAN free trade agreements with several of its development partners such as China, Korea, and Japan, opens up opportunities for the country's export expansion. Regulations play a key role in this as well. For instance, Cambodia's labor laws ensure fair wages up to $202 per month for probationary employees and $204 for regular employees, complemented by reasonable working hours complying with ESG principles, ensuring fair employee compensation. And as for the economic conditions, we believe it is strongly favorable to the industry. Cambodia's strong economic growth with forecast of 6.6% GDP growth in 2024 is impressive, although it's important to note that this high rate is partly due to Cambodia's lower economic starting point compared to its neighbors, which translates to a higher disposable income and boosting retail sales. The expanding middle class drives retail demand, favoring modern shopping experiences. Stable exchange rates at 4,040 Khmer reals per USD, low inflation rate of around 3 to 5%, and high employment rate of larger than 95% further strengthen consumers' spending power. This is the end of my part, and I would like to pass it on to Lisa to further elaborate on social, cultural forces and technological factors.
Thank you, Bun Liang. So for
Guys,
social
once again, you are reading out everything elaboratively. We don't have the time. How can we make it summary information? Rather, stop reading it, just explain a few words, and then we
Yeah.
move on, okay?
Yes, Professor, yes. So looking at the social cultural factor, we will focus on how it affects the consumer behavior and the consumption pattern. Cambodia has 16 million people, and it could be less attractive for the foreign business to target customer in our country. However, Cambodia has a sizable young age population of 65% is under the 30 years old. It could be driving the demand for fashion, electronic, and convenient items. It is imperative for retailers to understand about the shifting gender role as well as there is an increase in the role of women in the workforce and purchasing power. Moreover, Cambodian society collectivist and family-oriented value and underscore the importance of understanding and catering to family needs. However, there remain a challenge in addressing the low awareness and understanding of sustainability projects among consumers. It could indicate a growth and education within the industry. So moving on to technology, technological factor. Cambodia has a high penetration rate of internet user with 20.3 million internet, and the country has emerged as a digitally connected society with the use of social platform. The retailer could use it as a marketing tool and engaging with customer. And now one of the most notable trend in Cambodia is the use of banking service. It has revolutionized the financial transaction. For technological startup, we noticed that there remain an absence of successful shopping platform. Moreover, R&D in Cambodia is considered to be low, and it could affect the influence growth of retail industry in Cambodia. And next, I would like Thierry to continue. Thank you.
So moving on, I will be talking about the environmental factor and legal factor. The environmental factor, we consider it neutral as because the first is sustainable sourcing. Because there are some favorable and unfavorable factor in this environmental factor, that's why we consider it neutral. The first one is sustainable sourcing, is that the retail industry in Cambodia is implementing sustainable sourcing, especially for the retail for food and agriculture in Cambodia that is currently growing. So they are mostly sustainable sourcing. And then the next one is the energy efficiency for the environmental factor. This one is not so favorable yet because the investing in there are low investing in energy efficiency technology. For example, the solar panel that could that is the energy efficiency. So Cambodia like in this, and while the waste management is that Cambodia it is just neutral because there are some big company that already implement this waste reduction strategy and recycling program, but there are still many other small business that couldn't implement this waste management properly yet. And while the last one is the carbon emission reduction, is that in Cambodia the carbon emission reduction is considered slightly favorable due to nowadays the Cambodia they are reducing the carbon footprint to meet its sustainable goal, especially with the Cambodia retailer, especially online, would only use the they are trying to minimize the delivery by only deliver item twice a day. Most of the retailer now it is reducing the carbon emission. And last one is the legal regulatory factor that the first one this is really favorable for the retail industry. The first one is that the Cambodia has adopted the law on consumer protection in 2019 that protect the consumer from being from unfavorable remark, and also protect their buying when they are buying something from the seller. Also, the next one is the interest rate regulation. It is that the Cambodia government is trying to make it all easy for the business in Cambodia, that they are making the capital guarantee for 3% for Khmer Real and then 1.33% for US dollar. That make it really easy for business owner to put the money in the bank. And then the next one is the product safety and labeling. It is that they are advertising practice like to ensure consumer trust and complying with the legal standard, especially ESG practice. For example, E.ON are now promoting how much they are doing the ESG to get their customer trust. And the last one is the regulation compliant, is that most of the business now, especially big business like Chipmunk and E.ON, are following the transparency and accountability and ethical business, and also the ESG as well, so that they could make this legal regulator factor bring it to an even better level. So in conclusion, we would like to deduct that in the retail industry, Pastel external framework is currently favorable because we has only two neutral factor and other are favorable. So we think there are room for improvement and development in Cambodia retail sector. Thank you, Professor.
I love how you elaborate stuff, very well prepared. So thank you very much for that. But unfortunately, we finished 2 hours and still 2 teams left. I suggest we take construction education pastel factors next lecture when they talk about 5 forces. They also talk about a little bit in the pastel. Please pay more attention by when preparing. Try to make it less than 10 minutes, because if we make it 10 teams, 8 teams, 10 minutes is already 80 minutes. Like it's almost covering the full lecture. Try to make it 7-8 minutes max. Maybe it will be helpful. Anyways, I value your preparations. Many teams did a marvelous job. Also excellent presentation skills this time. So looking at the time, it's 8 o'clock for you, dinner time. I wish you a wonderful evening, and I'll see you in 2 weeks from now. Please don't forget to look at the specific companies in your industry, especially agricultural team needs to find out, okay, how are we going to find those companies or sectors, something to think about. And we'll move on with construction education pastel when they talk about 5 forces. Any remaining questions before we close the lecture? All right. Well, have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yes, goodbye and thank you, Professor. Good luck.